My main question is, to what extent does a loss of control contribute to the perception of one feeling guilt or guilty? Alright, so I'm sorry. I actually got that video from my church, and the way I stumbled upon it was that we are doing a missions trip, and we were wondering how we could help these people. And one of the things that came to me was like, how could they think that this was technically right? Bringing me to this question is, how is blame justified by reasoning, and to what extent is it not justifiable? Because in my personal experience with it, we had one of the ladies that was human trafficked. She came to our church, she spoke to us, and she was just completely like terrorized and frightened. Any little thing just got at her or whatever. And I was just like, well, how do you guys think this is right? And like, because I'm in charge of the youth group or whatever, so I was talking to her personally, and I was like, well, what makes you think this is right? And sadly, she came to America with her father. And I got to speak to her father, and her father was the initial one that human trafficked her, whatever. And his reasoning, which I can't really argue with in my experience, is that is the main thing that makes their economy go around. That's the only way they're getting money. And then he's like showing these pictures of these houses. They live in like shacks with like slats of wood and some metal they found, and scrapes of pieces and everywhere. So like, that's the only way they got around. And I was wondering if that applied or stirred anything in you guys.
Do you mean like blame just like on the human trafficking topic?
Just as far as blame, I mean like blame as in you shouldn't be doing this, not as far as the population of human trafficking itself. I mean, yes, that's wrong, but you as an individual should not be doing this because it is morally wrong.
But with human trafficking?
Yes.
Okay. For the person going into human trafficking, I don't think the blame should ever be put on them. Usually there's a lot more behind it. For the person selling them, the blame should be completely put on them if they know what they're doing. I mean, for instance, there's the book sold where her parents find her a job and she's going to work as a maid and everything, but then it turns out she's actually going to become a prostitute, but they don't know that. Like, and then she has no way of communicating with them after. So that's not put on the parents. And then the blame should be completely, I don't think it's justified ever by reasoning, by selling another person. That's just,
So you're saying, it's just clear, no matter what, you should not be able to sell another person, period.
yeah.
All right, let me get to you just a second.
Except for, well, adopting. That's different.
Okay.
You have to pay for being adopted, but that's more different.
Okay. Doing that, I was kind of confused because my vocabulary is small on what the difference between ethics and morals was. So
Ethics is a framework, systematic, and reasoned basis for making statements about morality, and morals are simply what we believe to be right and wrong. What you just said was that no matter what, you should not be able to sell a person. Those are your morals. When I talked to the guy about it, his morals were, you have to do what you have to do to make not just one person happy, but your entire family happy. He had 13 kids. Now, let me know he was part of the trafficking system himself, but what he told me was that he trafficked one person so that the other 12 could, have some other better lifestyle or whatever. Now, as wrong as that may seem morally, in his perspective, that was the right thing to do. So, I'll go back to you now, whatever you got to say.
Well, first of all, I have a question. Where is this?
This-
So they came to America, but from where?
This is in Europe, and the specific part that my mission trip is dealing with, it is actually South Africa, but like the tip or whatever. So, because
So the people were from Europe.
yeah,
But
the
you guys
people
are-
that came to my church are from Europe, but we're
But
going.
you're learning about that experience because you're going to Africa where trafficking also happens.
Correct.
Okay. Oh. Well, and you're saying how they would think it's correct. I don't know from their perspective. They might not necessarily think it's correct, but that they think it might be necessary or they have a right to it. I think a lot of it is, not just because I'm a feminist, but a lot of it I think is men feeling like they have a superiority over women, and that women just
I'm telling them it's not okay to laugh when someone says the word feminist in my world.
and that because a lot, even in the old days, they had the sentiments that women were kind of there for them. And maybe, I think that might fuel, I know in a lot of locations, like maybe South Africa or parts of Europe, those sentiments might still be there a little bit more than here. So I think that kind of fuels a lot.
I'm actually glad you said that because the father of a human trafficker that I was talking to, he had mentioned that it seemed like a top of the line thing the more people you have sex with. So it's this really weird sheet how many people they traffic, how much money per person, and then in the video it says at the age of 4. That girl that I was talking to, she is now 17, but she started at the age of 3. And one of the worst memories that she ever had was that she had she remembered not going to sleep one night, and she remembered just 10 guys in the room waiting. So I was just like, okay, I felt really bad. So just a second, the rest of you guys' questions. Okay, now, doing this, morally we feel that it's wrong. But how do our morals sometimes conflict with our emotions? For example, we feel that this is wrong because emotionally we would have an attachment to our child. But in the area I'm looking at being South Africa, they see as the pack as more important than the one. So how would you feel about that? Okay, you already spoke. I think that's Laura, please.
Okay, so you're saying that you said that basically in order to support their large family, they have to resort to that, right?
Yes.
Is it? Well, logic will tell you don't have 13 kids that you can't support in a reasonable manner, and you have to resort to selling your child. Personally, when I see how people worked about it, if you have a strong emotional attachment to your child, why would you put your child in that situation?
Because technically speaking, he was doing what he was doing for the wealth part of it. Human trafficking, that's more like a popularity thing. Spending money.
So he was putting his morals ahead
of everybody else's. Correct. Just a second. I'm sorry. Okay, that's my original question. Now, to what extent does the loss of control contribute to the perception of one feeling guilty? For my personal thing, me knowing that I cannot help directly, except going to South Africa and being a missionary or whatever, it had me feeling really bad because I knew this was happening, but there was nothing immediately I could do. So on top of that, there's our church. We all had a prayer circle after it or whatever, and everybody said the same thing. I just feel really bad that if this happened to me, I know somebody would do something, but I can't do something in direct, result of this. Now, Taylor, you had your hand up.
Well, it was for the last thing, not the actual chaos, so I don't know if we wanted to, I mean,